G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Enno from Fantasy Take TV. Round 2. Threw up a few challenges here and not the greatest score from myself after a pretty good round 1. Similar score last week. Was good for about 7,000th, but this week that was only, 62,000 for the week. So yeah, a bit of a drop, basically doubled my rank there, but being round 2, it's still very, very early, and only a couple of hundred points separates from where I am to top 1,000, 2,000. So this is a very important week. Moves to be made. We had some big disappointments, which we'll get to later. But we'll just get into the team. Copped a couple of close losses as well in draft, so it just wasn't a good week all around for me. But so overall, pretty happy with the team. Obviously, a few big misses. Nick Dacos, clearly, which I'll still stick by that if he was a full CBA mid, or at least going to be majority, which is what it looked like in the preseason. I still wasn't really interested, but he's going back at halfback like he was in his first year. So if that was the case, I was absolutely going to start him, but didn't look to be that way. But it absolutely is, and I think he's pretty much as close to a must-have as you can get, because I was there watching that live on the weekend, and it was just ridiculous the amount of ball he demands, the running he does just to get a single touch is quite remarkable. And if he finds himself in a quiet patch for 5 minutes, just best believe he's doing everything he can to get his next touch. So kicked a couple of amazing goals as well. Just a ridiculously talented player. So he's coming in. How he's coming in, I'll get to later, but we'll just go through the team. Sicily, very disinterested yesterday. I mean, it's going to be a lot of big beltings this year for the Hawks, and was hoping he could score better in those. Shared a few of the kick-ins with the likes of Hardwick early till he went down back, then CJ as well, and then Lockie Bramble always seems to steal a few as well. But get a couple of clangers early, and fought his way back into his with his ratio into a positive one. But just a 99. Doc, can speak about him a bit, but there are obviously a few more mouths to feed in that Carlton backline, and I'm not overly concerned. I still think Doc will be top 6, but maybe it just lowers his ceiling a bit from last year. So it's probably one of the poorest Doc games we'll get, so I'm not too concerned there, but we will speak about some options later. Dawson, just going to be solid as ever. There was a patch in that third quarter when the Crows were absolutely, that was the most dominant quarter I've probably seen for a long time. Could have got ugly, but he just didn't touch it, which is fair enough. But in the last quarter, he got his score back going and got a nice 110 for us. Jinby, I think he's leading the league in tackles over 2 weeks, which is remarkable. Just for a first year player, he's playing on Tom Green. They look quite similar in build, but obviously a few years he's junior, but just looks great at the level. So he's going to be in our fields for quite some time. McKenna the same. Just solid. Going to get the ball there down back. Going to try and use his run and carry. Going to hopefully use it well, which he can at times. But he's really good. So him and Wilmot. Wilmot obviously played more defence with Kitty out, so keep an eye on that. Maybe if you want to field him again, I think he's always going to be a solid field option. Wilmot as well, but happy with McKenna. And then Constable could be doing better with his 2 scores back to back, and it's just really going to be interesting to see if he's still in the best 22. And Cowan was pretty solid as well on Thursday night. Bont, I was obviously tossing up him and Shrek the VC. We'll get to Shrek later. But he was nice with the 125. McRae's the big one. He's pretty much gone from my team. All but confirmed that. Obviously, I wasn't super confident in a lot of these 600k mids, and it's proved to be pretty true with, Brayshaw not going well. Obviously, Steele injury is a bit different, but still wasn't going great. These other guys, like obviously Merritt got the tag. He's actually probably going to turn out to be one of the better ones. Who else is there? Probably missing a couple. Cripps been okay. Probably been one of the better ones without doing too much. So besides your Lairds and Olivers, who obviously got to pay way up for, even Neil, who's obviously a bit more at 670, none of them have really been that great. And someone that was in this position until the preseason game, which just shows you can't overreact too much, was LDU, and I sort of got not scared off. I just didn't really want to buy into a bottom team's mid, but they've won their first 2, and he's been absolutely instrumental in that. So look, he's got Hawthorn this week as well. We'll speak about that. But McRae was just not like in the first half was good enough, but in the third quarter, come out, he's playing full forward for 8 minutes, comes off, rotates with Sam Darcy to put him forward. Then he's stuck on the bench for another 8 minutes trying to get on, and then when he does, he plays, midfield for the last, little rotation there, 5 minutes or so, and that was his quarter, and it's just was infuriating to watch. Caleb Daniel getting more mid-time than him, and the Dogs just been an absolute mess. So I think I'm just going to get out of that pick. Already got Bont there. He's probably, the go-to, but don't really want to own anyone else really, especially in that midfield mix. Dunkley was good without being great. Tom Green, I had to captain him in the end, so I lost a bit of points there, probably 20 or so on most people, or Laird VC, probably, closer to 40. Hopper, big bounce back. I'll be getting at George for that on the pod this week, but he was awesome and a bit worried late when he might have looked to do an injury, but he came back on and mustered out almost a 120, so big performance from him. Pretty sure that ankle will be all right as far as I know, so very happy to have started him. Warple the same, solid without being great in a big loss, so you can't ask too much more. Hopefully the Hawks are a little bit more competitive at some point, but not holding hope for that. But he looks to be a really solid pick as well. Ashcroft, huge bounce back as well in his second game. Just ridiculous to have 30 touches and 15 contested, kicks a goal against the Ds. That's a remarkable effort for a kid in his second game. And then Mackenzie lost a few of his CBAs, surprisingly, to like Connor Nash and a few others around the board. Will Day got quite a bit this week, so hopefully that's not a trend, because he was awesome in the first week in there. So might be managing him, or just don't want to put it all onto him too early in his career. So you can understand that, but I still think it'd be pretty good field option, like 52 with I think it was like 40% or something, not much. So hopefully it's more than that. Goda okay, didn't watch the game, but he'll keep ticking along. Hopefully there's a decently bigger score in there at some point to get some good cash gen. Baker the same, and Alwyn scored pretty much all his points in the first half and then sort of went missing. So he's just going to be a bench option. Don't really want to see too many of those guys near my field. And now we get to the rucks. I mean, I wasn't watching. I was at the game actually with George and a few of the other boys watching the Saints and Dogs, so we weren't able to watch what happened here, but Freo just seemed to be an absolute disaster. Starting with Jackson, that ruck setup. Why'd they get Jackson in the first place if they're going to have to split this more? And, obviously Fife being out didn't help. That's a loss forward, even though, he hasn't been great there. But Taberner doesn't look that great. Miss is a very young kid, in his early parts of his career. There's no synergy. They've got O'Meara in with Brody. Brody was good last year, but, even Brayshaw, they just can't seem to work it out in the stoppages. It's real poor. Like, their defense is obviously cooking, and probably for good reason. It's down there a lot, and they just don't know how to move it. And I'm as much worried about Shrek, which is probably, let's say 60% worried about him, but it's more the team of Freo that I'm worried about, and that's what makes me want to get out of Shrek and any Freo players, just for this season, just how poorly they've started. Look, big turnaround. They got West Coast this week, who just put up a really good effort against GWS, got their first win. They haven't won many games in a long time, so it is a big game this week. He has BJ Williams. Do we stick with him? Do we boost to get him out, get it to an English, or just get out of the pick? It's a big decision to make, but the man, he really needs to turn it on this week. I'm gonna keep him. I know it's a big decision. He's got 180 break even if we look at it here or something, so that's no surprise. He could all but get that against BJ Williams, or he could really plummet and drop a lot in price. So we'll go through some options later, but boy oh boy, if you're as frustrated as you probably all of you probably more frustrated than me as owners, you got to expect the roller coaster with Shrek. I've said that. Didn't expect this big of a low, I'll be honest, and sorry to anyone that owns him and, was expecting more, especially with your wits, and he's still got less points than Gawn total, and Gawn got subbed off for 0. Oh, boy. At this stage, I'm going to lean towards holding for one more week. He has to prove himself. I have to see the split be more in his direction. He can't play forward, and even when he does, he drops his marks. He just doesn't seem to be clunking them as much anymore, and if he flops, then this is going. out the fucking window. So, Rowan was good. It was a pretty funny battle between him and English. They sort of contested in the ruck, and then after that, just left each other to be. English sort of dropped back, tried to help the defence out, which was under the pump, and then Rowan just continued to do his work around the ball, rack up the pill, and they both scored well as a result. So Rowan will be good. He's a VC option in some good weeks, I think, for sure. So, and then Radaglia on the bench. Look, it was for ruck cover. Obviously, didn't expect him to get within 10 points of Shrek in a given week, but he may make way soon down the track. Hopefully, he can just get some good of a score to get some cash gen, and we can maybe, trade him out at 250. If he pushes towards 300, I'll be surprised, but hopefully there's a big score in there somewhere. And in the forward line, Rosie was pretty good for most parts. Obviously, had to go off for a bit. Was getting assessed for a concussion. Came back on, fought it out in a pretty big loss. Taranto, this is Taranto. You got to expect that he gets a lot of the pill, but can butcher it at times. But this is honestly his floor. Like 8 tackles, he's going to get that most weeks. There are going to be some big games in there for him. Gordon was good, just chugged along in a big win as well. Didn't really have to do too much. Sydney sort of shared the points evenly. It was a bit of a massacre in the end. Steve's a ridiculous. What has he gone? 114 back to back, exactly 30 plus touches in his first 2 games. Pretty remarkable stuff. Fergus. So I looped Tanner Bruin here on the bench, and then obviously if I had to take my VC, I would have had to take Tanner's score. I won out in 3 points here from Fergus. And Fergus honestly kicked 0-4. I think in the end he could have had a goal or 2 for me, mate, to boost the score a bit, but wasn't to be. And then the move that we did early this week, or previous, during this round, was getting Chandler in for Chesser, Chesser awful again, 20 points or something. So right move there, and Chandler was really, really good early until Brisbane sort of got on top. So I think there's some good scores as well in there for Chandler in some bigger wins that the D's should get over the next few weeks. So happy to field him. And I think his job security now with Gorn out for a bit, Salem out for a bit. I think there's spots there. They'll bring in others. And I still think there'll be a role even when Cozzy comes back. So happy with him. All right. That was a bit of a, 10-minute rant or so on my team. What do we do? So I think Jack McRae has to go for me. It's very disappointing, but look, you honestly won out if you started Jelly instead. You got probably Nick Dacos, as most of I know. Our Discord did. You may have even got someone else like a Zeeble, or you might have made a change there. Hopefully you did the right one, but yeah, most people got Dacos, and that obviously turned out to be a massive win, whereas I kept McRae, obviously got the Saints this week, and he was playing forward for half a game, so he's gone. Can't trust Bevo. Probably should have expected that. Could have started LDU, who was in my team for a lot of preseason, but obviously I jumped off that late, deservedly so. He's absolutely dominated. And Tanner Bruin, obviously, is the other one that absolutely has to go. Now, Nick Dacos, non-negotiable. We don't even really need to speak on him. Watching it live was just hilarious. That man is going to rack up the pill at will. He was getting tagged in the first quarter, and he still got 9 touches. And to be honest, I know a lot of people slag Lockie Jones. He was doing well in the actual contest and around, stoppage from keeping him from getting the ball, but it does not matter. Nick will work incredibly hard. Whenever there's a defensive mark in Collingwood's 50, he's running to that person to demand the ball, and if they don't, he's absolutely filthies up, and it's hilarious. So, got to have this man. He's going to average, honestly, probably 115 if I had to guess, if he continues to do this all year, and if he stays out of the midfield. So, he's in. Didn't even really need to speak much on him. The next trade is the big one. So, is it Zeeble in the forward line? Is it Swing, Dunks back to forward, and is it Setterfield in the midfield? So, really big thing on these two. Setterfield, 90% CBAs on the weekend, which is remarkable. Tackled really well, kicked another goal like he has both weeks. Ended up with racking up a bit of the pill, but not his biggest strength, but his contested work's great. Did have his quad strapped up, supposedly, in the second half and played the game out with it, so we'll keep an eye on that. Already got Hopper, already got Warple. Do I need to get another one, or do I just go with Zeeble, who looks to be, or is it obviously a bigger chance of being a keeper? He may well be, whereas Setterfield obviously probably won't be. Will make a lot of coin, but won't be a keeper. I think I go with the Zeeble route, as much as it pains me, because Jack Zeeble shouldn't be this relevant in 2023, but if it keeps going the way it is, he definitely will be. Him and Cheezel both get defender status, could prove quite a good swing. after round 5 into round 6. Setterfield has a tougher schedule coming up as well. So if I just click on Alwyn Davey here and scroll down for 2023, we've got, so Saints actually been decently well. Giants, Melbourne, Collingwood, Geelong. It's not the greatest schedule, albeit, you know, he could go big in those games still, but, you know, they've started out with Hawthorn and Gold Coast, so that's another thing that I might be giving a bit of confirmation bias to. But that's my thinking. You know, Zeebel's going to be more likely to be a keeper, and if not, he'll still make money, and if we have to trade him out, it should be, you know, hopefully around the 500,000 mark, and we can just get him to someone else that we think is a primo. You know, if he loses his role, we'll monitor that. Obviously, Aaron Hall is coming, well, could come back. I actually don't think he will personally, but I think he had something like 37 in the VFL, so we'll have to monitor that. So let's just do that. And then we'll show you what I'm thinking about if I boost. So the team looks like this. Obviously, Dunkley will come on for Fergus. I can actually loop Fergus Green and with Chandler if I want to. Just see what Fergus scores against North. There might be a bag in there. Who knows? Then if need be, I can loop him with Chandler. Bigger decision is, so I've already got the boost selected here. Do I boost Doherty to someone like LDU? You can obviously, there's a lot of swings here with those defensive mid rookies, which is really nice. Get LDU in. I've got a lot of money in the bank that could be used towards future weeks and sit with that. Do I leave that, go back, boost Shrek out, just get out of the pick? I know he's got BJ Williams this week. Just get out of it. If I was to do so, my number one choice would be Tim English, and I know been against him in the preseason only because of his injuries, and trading him in after the back of 2 good scores, you know, an injury could be around the corner and you have to trade him out again. I definitely understand that. I wouldn't go Wits. If I was gonna go Wits, to be honest, might as well just keep Shrek in my eyes. I prefer him. I know Wits has been good. My second option would actually be going down to DC, banking a bit more cash as well. DC looks like his roles there could be. Could even be a top 6 forward. You know, we're not going to get Gorn now with his injury. We're not going to get Grundy. He's going to have to ruck full time. Petrarca, probably not. Who are the other ones people are thinking of? Maybe that's all D's options there. But there could be others, but it's not really looking likely. So, you know, maybe a Dogs mid or something. But could get McRae. So that's my thinking. DC could actually well be a top 6 or even close to top 8 forward, and that's fine. You know, you get to see the ruck position. Maybe when Gorn comes back, grab him. Maybe Wits drops in price, whatever. Maybe get Shrek back, whatever. See the position, and DC can always swing forward, and he's your cover as well. That's my other thing. So there, it would be English or DC if I was to do Shrek out, or if it was Doherty, then I would just get LDU most likely. And not really a knock on Doherty. I know it's two, sideways in premiums, but really I've already saved, trades in week 1. I only use 1 to get Chandler. And then, you can, this is round 3. Before the prices move, if you want to make any big changes, this is when you do it. I don't really have any harm in sidewaysing with the amount of trades we have these days. Ask me 4 years ago and I would strongly advise against it. But that's my thinking. Let me know what you like the best of those moves. I'm really leaning towards just getting LDU because I don't mind Shrek this week against BJ. It gives me 140k in the bank, and if he happens to flop and score 80 and the role looks bad, he's playing more forward again even, then he will drop in price. Unfortunately, he'll drop, let's say an 80. He'll drop basically down to about 500k, but I have the money in the bank. English will probably go up to 600 and I'll just spend it and get him. And that's what I'd do. So that's my thinking. LDU looks really good. The fixture obviously does get a bit tougher afterwards. Obviously Hawthorn this week, but then Carlton, tough midfield. Brisbane, tough midfield. Gold Coast, not too bad. But then Melbourne, another tough midfield as well. And even the Saints, quite defensively minded. They've been a pretty tough midfield to score on. So it doesn't, his draw doesn't really open up. Some of these teams he's never even tunned against. So he's still speculative LDU, and he's been touted for years as to breaking out. Could this year be the year? It's looking like it so far, but let me know what you think. Team's in okay position. Could be better. Obviously, we could have started with Nick Dacos, could have started with Zeeble, all these picks, but now's the time to jump on if you haven't done so. And congrats to anyone who has started them and they're able to get maybe, a couple other rookies. They can have a go out there, save a boost, do all that. So, then they'll be greatly beneficial for them later on. They'll be ahead. They can make more upgrades quicker. So, yeah, now's the time. Any Shrek believers out there? Because look, I'm waning. I'm waning a lot. But he's got pretty much one more week for me. So, time to prove yourself, big fella. Thanks for watching. So catch you on the next one, guys. Cheers.